Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video I'm going to be covering two things. The recent thing with Meghan Markle that's where she sat on the panel with Brooke Shields, is it Katie Couric, and the other lady, and I forget her name, but I will put her name up here because I've forgotten it as I'm talking. So I'm going to be discussing this, and I'm going to rant because this woman is an absolute hypocrite. And I know you've probably heard all this stuff before, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. And so at the end, I'm going to also discuss this circus around the current picture that came out by the Princess of Wales for Mother's Day. And I'm going to rant there too. So just to prepare you, there's going to be a bit of ranting going on. Some of you like me ranting, some of you might tune off, and that's okay. But I'm pretty mad. Not as mad as what I was. I've calmed down a little bit, but I'm mad. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel, then please think about doing so you do not miss future uploads. Please do not forget to like this video, because as much as I absolutely appreciate the views, the likes also really help the algorithm. So please don't forget to click on that little thumbs up button, because it gets lonely. Oh, my cat's in the background. Hey Pip. Beep beans. Oh, he's ignoring me. Arthur. Hello. Baba. Arthur. Yeah, Arthur's ignoring me too. You ignore him, mummy. You're not going to say hello to the bubble people? Oh, you are? You're going to say hello? Yeah? You're going to say hello? Yeah, my happy boy. So, yes. You should know what to do by now if you are new here. It is grab your drink of choice time, and we have a new person that has decided to send in their video. So I'm going to be putting that up now. And like I said, if you want to join in the grab your drink of choice, and I'm loving the fact that people are sending in their things that they want to show. So if you want to join, the email is running across the bottom here. You can send in a video, even a photograph with I'm happy to do the voiceover if you want me to, but if you want to do your voiceover, you don't have to be on camera. You can also showcase your lovely fur babies, whatever it is, whichever way you want to do that, whether it's a bird drinking out of a water fountain, whatever it is, as long as it's in a sense drink related, you can send me the videos or photographs of whatever it is that you want to do, and I will showcase them on here, so you're not having to listen to me doing it all of the time, which I'm sure gets pretty boring for you all at certain points. So here we are. Here is the next person who has done this lovely one for us. So here we are.
Hi everybody, this is Jan, and I'm coming to you from Montenegro, and I'm on a ferry right now. Grab your drink of choice. I don't have anything right now because I left my bottle of water on the little bus. So anyway, grab your drink of choice. Okay, that's all. Take care. Bye.
So I will always put, if this person has got a YouTube channel, I will always put them up here as well, just so you know that you can go across and give them some love and support, because we're here to support each other. That's the main thing. So yes, okay. Meghan. So I watched the entire panel interview with the four ladies, and this is a really difficult one for me, because I want to stand behind and support everyone, and I of course recognize that there is a lot of room, especially in regards to women, that there is still work to be done. But I'm not going to behave in a way that creates a victim mentality of, oh, poor me, I've struggled. And I struggle with some of the mentality where it almost feels that feminism has become about being a victim and emasculating men. And I'm not down for that. Some of the points made on this panel, I'm not going to lie, I agreed with. I want to say none of them by Meghan, though. For the most part, I didn't understand a word of what she was saying. She did her usual waffly, word salady. Couple of bits I do understand. Like one bit she mentioned about women attacking, and I have to say I almost spat my coffee out when she said this. When she said about women attacking women. Being on social media, I have seen more often than not that women will attack women. And I do find that sad. I'm not going to deny that. But but it coming out of Meghan's mouth was the most hypocritical thing I have ever heard in my life, I feel. Now, from what I garner, this was paid for by them. So they supported with their Merchywell Foundation, which, let's be honest, it isn't them. The people that donate to Merchywell are the ones that are supporting this. Let's be honest. It's not them because it's not really their money. Because I imagine they use their money for the jet setting round and the private jets and her thousands of dollars worth of clothing, posh hotels, probably staying at the ranch that she's in, etc. So that's where their money probably goes. So I'm not even going to say that it's them that actually are supporting this. But anyway, it got her a seat at the table, as she likes to say. So I'm going to put up little snippets that I cropped out. I'm not going to put the whole interview up here because I think I might get a copyright strike for putting the whole interview up. But I am going to put up snippets of her. I'm going to play them and then I'm going to slow them down like I've done before. But don't worry, guys, I'm not just going to put the captions. I'm going to do the voiceover as you've asked me to do to explain a lot of the things that I have seen. And the amount of what I believe is deception going on with her is, again, so apparent. Meghan has got these very big tells. She clenches her jaw a lot. She swallows a lot when she's uncomfortable. And these are very classic signs of feeling anxious or uncomfortable. She blinks rapidly. She searches the audience. If there's anyone that she feels a little bit insecure with, and I feel that Brooke Shields was one of them, she will try to endear herself to that person. And I noticed that she was doing that a lot with Brooke. It was like, oh, Brooke, yeah, your point there is really interesting. And I'm going to agree with what Brooke is saying here. So there's an element of competition there. And it was very apparent when Brooke brought up Gloria Steinem. Because as we know, Meghan has had conversations with Gloria Steinem and Brooke brought up Gloria Steinem first. And Meghan had to compete with that. And she did that by also mentioning Gloria Steinem. And then she mentioned her nickname, Glow. So she tried to one-up Brooke Shields. And this was very obvious to me. So when I'm watching her, I feel that I have a good insight into why she is doing what she's doing, which is what I bring here. But to have her sit on a panel, not only for International Women's Day, when she has been so anti-women. Now, I don't know whether because this was paid for, that they felt forced to have her on there. I genuinely don't know. I will say that when I was watching the panel, they didn't really seem enamored by her. And I think that Meghan felt a little bit out of her comfort zone. It was weird to me that Harry was in the audience, but even weirder to me was the fact that Marcus Anderson was sitting right next to Harry. Why was he there? There is something, in my opinion, something very hinky going on with those three. Now, I know people have said that they believe that Marcus is Meghan's lover. I don't know. I feel that they have potentially had a relationship at some point, given some of the photographs I've seen. But we also know that Meghan is very flirtatious, and so it's very possible that she's been continually love bombing Marcus. But is there an element where we've had this coercive control in keeping him around because of what perhaps have with on Harry? I don't know. So I'm listening to the panel talking, and I thought Brooke was, I loved Brooke actually, because what I noticed is that she was not comfortable. She was very nervous, but she was very articulate. And I think she was trying to sort of bring a bit of humour to it, but she was very humble. And I loved how, and what was interesting is that she brought in her children, and she was talking about her 2 daughters. And of course, Meghan then has to mention her being pregnant. And I will get to that in a minute. But she seemed very humble. And I found that there was a slight, when it was talking about a documentary that Brooke has created. And what I found interesting is when she was talking about the documentary, now I don't know whether this is just the way my mind works, but I found it very interesting that when she was talking, she was sort of speaking as if this was very important to relay the messages that she was trying to relay within the documentary. But what she'd said was it was really important not to be angry, not to lay blame. It's to learn to be humble, always to be progressive. And I found that very interesting, given the fact that Harry and Meghan have just done this documentary, obviously a little while ago. But the fact that their whole documentary was very much about blaming, being a victim and being angry. So that sort of the 3 things that their documentary was really about was, and I feel that was what Meghan would have picked up on. And this is why she sort of seems to try to be love bombing Brooke in her answers, like always referring to Brooke. Yes, Brooke, that's a good point that you've made there. She was really trying to win her over, I feel. And I wonder if Brooke is somebody that has got her number, is really, as in not a phone number, but, got her number and knows who she is, but is on a panel and she's professional and trying to be respectful. But I found that very interesting that she did mention, I wish in a way that they'd panned to Meghan's face, but we didn't. It was obviously on Brooke at the time when she was talking, understandably so, but I didn't see Meghan's face while that was going on. It would have been interesting to see how she was reacting and responding when other people were talking. At one point, she seems to also interject with the interviewer. The interviewer, is sort of talking, and then Meghan seems to then almost do a version of grab the mic. It wasn't really in reference to her, but she decides to pipe up and start speaking about something and then kind of goes on waffly a little bit. And I wonder if that again was her, like, the attention's not enough on me, so I need to bring it back. But again, I don't know, but that's kind of the vibe I got from her. And it just, everything pretty much that she said just didn't make sense. She waffled on about herself a lot of the time again. And okay, Brooke did bring in her children, but she only answered about herself when it was relevant. But what made me laugh the most was I couldn't believe the fact that her Procter & Gamble lie, Jack and Ori story got brought up again. Now, in all fairness, Katie Couric did ask her about it, but I wonder if this was preempted, because I don't feel that that's something, I might be wrong, but I don't feel that's something that they would have thought, oh yes, let's ask Meghan about that. I do not understand how people do not do their research. I just do not understand this. It is quite simple to get in contact with Procter & Gamble and say, was Meghan an 11-year-old? I mean, common sense should tell you that an 11-year-old is not going to have enough power to change an advert that's probably cost thousands, maybe millions of dollars to create. It's a business. One 11-year-old is not going to do that. It was a class project. And Thomas Markle has already debunked this by saying that nobody responded to her. So he used his contacts to get her the interview on the, I mean, and again, I understand, don't get me wrong, I understand as a dad, as a parent even, that we don't want to see our kids upset. I get that. And I don't blame him for what he did back then in a way, because I understand it. Now, was it right? No, because what has happened is it set the precedent with Meghan's ego. Because at some point he would have known, even back then, that she's got an ego, that she's bratty, because we saw it. He spoiled her. And because of that, and the lack of maternal instinct from her mother, has created this monster, in all fairness. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't blame him for the way Meghan is now, because she's an adult. She's quite capable of changing that behaviour, but she's a narcissist and she won't. But this is the result of all of that. So him answering and writing and getting this interview for her on Nickelodeon fed her ego massively. So in her tiny mind, she believed as an 11-year-old that she was instrumental in changing a $1,000 Procter & Gamble advert. Now, at the time, there was a huge feminist movement. Huge. So what I would imagine is, like what we've probably said before, is that because of this movement, Procter & Gamble thought, okay, we're getting a lot of letters here. And I probably wouldn't even imagine they've even read Meghan's letter, but we're getting a lot of backlash here from doing this advert. We need to change it. And they did. But Meghan, I mean, even if you didn't have the interview with, you know, and the reenactment with Nickelodeon, how can you honestly believe? I know why Meghan believes it, because she's egotistical and she's a narcissist. But how does anyone else believe that an 11-year-old is responsible for changing a $1,000 advert? How? And then when it's brought out in the media, they run with it. They have her on this panel, and rather than go, we're not going to mention that because we found out it's not true. Oh, no. Because they've had a big old fat donation from Merchywell, they allow her to run with this story again and again and again. It's so old, it's so boring, and it's a lie. Which, well, I'm going to get to, makes me even more angry with the fact that Princess Catherine has just been attacked for having some editing done to a photograph. Oh, we're going to get to that. So we have that. But the biggest thing for me is the fact that you've got a woman who has bullied female members of staff, and it's come out in the media, has bullied Catherine, bullied Charlotte, all women, young women, has gone on Oprah and, in a sense, diminished Princess Catherine's bullying. It's not the same. It's not the same as going through racism, which she didn't go through. Created the royal family to be bullied for being racist for the rest of the Queen's life that was left, whilst Harry's grandfather was dying in hospital. Had no problem bullying any of them then. Has, in a sense, bullied other women in her life her best friend was one of them, literally discarded and dropped her and didn't need her anymore. Has then continued on to attack Princess Catherine, attack the royal family, which has female members of. And she sits there and talks about online bullying. The online bullying that their cult following has been absolutely disgusting, in my opinion. They even went on, and I'm going to put the pictures up here, to thank one of the main instigators, because they gave them a donation of money, thanked them, and yet they were one of the instigators in creating the vitriol on Twitter at the time, because I remember seeing it when I was on there. Oh, Arthur's having a nightmare. Arthur, having a nightmare, buddy. Arthur. And then let's not forget the big one of employing Christopher Boozy, who single-handedly created, is it a bot farm? And then employed other people to go out onto social media to attack people that supported the royal family or said anything negative about Harry and Meghan. And he was on their Mock You series. And I have experienced that firsthand, as you know, when he single-handedly put me on Twitter after someone contacted him and told him that apparently I was a fake therapist. And instead of talking to me, he decided to run with that and put me on Twitter and go after me. And his fan base, which I believe at the time was around 70,000 or something following, or maybe even more than that, I don't know. And they all went for me. Anyone that defended me, they were getting DMs from people. They were getting attacked by these people. And I was being accused of being dangerous. I was being accused of, which is the most ironic thing, I was being accused of sleeping with the husbands of my female clients, which is rather odd given that we were in lockdown around this time when it all started, because it was back in, I think, 2020 when it actually started. And so I wasn't even seeing clients. And even if I was, I wouldn't be doing that. But this is what I was being accused of. I was being accused of being a danger to children. And he was putting this out on social media to the point where it was affecting my mental health. I'm not going to lie. I have never experienced that level of bullying before. And to find out as well that he'd been talking to other YouTubers at the time, people that were fans of the royal family, who were siding with him. So I then decided to reach out to him to ask him personally to stop. And he contacted me. So I DM'd him and said, Mr. Boozy, could you please stop? And I've kept the screen grabs of all of that. And I've only shown a couple of people because at the end of the day, I don't know the laws behind showing information. And it's got other people in this, because he was trying to get me to hand over information to him, which I said, I don't have any information. All I have is that I can prove to you. And I even offered to go on video chat with him, because back then I didn't really know who he was. I didn't know that he worked for Meghan. All I knew was this man has suddenly come out of nowhere and was attacking me for no reason. And I couldn't understand why. I mean, I was getting bullied by other people at the time as well, but I couldn't understand why this guy suddenly, and of course I found out that the people that were attacking me at the time were sending him information. So he's just decided to run with it. So I had this very brief one DM with him and I said, look, you need to stop. I can prove to you I'm a therapist, etc. And he said, I'm not really interested in that. I just need to know what you've got on Harry and Meghan, or why you've chosen to do that, and what these other people have got. And I said, well, at the end of the day, Harry and Meghan are celebrities. So this is just par for the course. They've got to expect that. And that was it. And he gave me he said, if you want to have your story, I can give you a number of a journalist. And at the time I just said, okay, yeah, that's fine. I never did. I never contacted, and I wouldn't, because at the end of the day, I've got no interest in that. But I thought that was it. I thought that conversation with him had shut everything down. I then saw that he went on Twitter again and said, I have just had a conversation with this person and I'm convinced more than ever that she's a danger to people. I couldn't believe it. So that was when I decided to completely come off Twitter. Completely come off. Because this was going on for months. And I have never been back on since. I have got no interest in going back on there. I hate it. And at this point, I'm actually thinking of coming off TikTok as well, because it is just as bad. And so for the fact that this woman sat there on a panel and talked about how people were so mean to her when she was allegedly pregnant, and it's women attacking women, I just thought, are you actually kidding me? that you've got the gall to sit there and talk about this when you have systematically bullied the royal family, the women in the royal family, especially Princess Catherine and her daughter, who's a child. And you've also thanked your bullies on social media. You've never said to your fan base to stop with the vitriol that you give out to other people, including the royal family. And you've employed Christopher Boozy, and you're in bed, so to speak, with Omid Scobie, who has also bullied the royal family and the children. It's like, do these people not do their research? Do they not? Is money so important now that we're willing to just turn a blind eye to the actual truth? And then again, you have the mainstream media running with it. Oh, Meghan is up there standing up for women's rights, da 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 da, kissing her behind, basically. And I just sit here and I think, why am I doing this? Because what's the point of the truth anymore? You know, I've always said truth has to matter, which is why I do what I do here. But when you have a woman who has, like I say, systematically gone out of her way to bully and attack people and then employ people to do it for her, and she has the gall to sit there on a panel and talk about how awful it's been for her. No one bullies her. All right, there might be the odd few. But what they do is they call her out for her hypocrisy and the BS that she constantly spews, her and her husband. And I just find it absolutely unbelievable that you've got people like Katie Couric. I don't know who the interviewer woman was, and I can't remember who the other lady was. I feel like she was, I don't know why, but I feel like she was possibly connected to the Barbie movie. I'm not sure. But in all fairness, I didn't particularly like the Barbie movie. I thought it was actually, I felt it was almost had a bit of an emasculation thing going on. I mean, don't get me wrong. I get that young girls want to, and weirdly enough, it was around, when I was watching this, I was also watching a film called The Boston Strangler. Because I'm actually very interested, as I know that a lot of you, I've spoken about doing true crime at some point, and this fascinates me a great deal. But what fascinated me the most was the fact that the Boston Strangler was actually, and I'll make sure I get this right, Loretta McLaughlin and Jean Cole covered the Boston Strangler in 1962. They were two female reporters, and this was very unheard of back then. And watching this film, and I did sort of Google if it was quite true to life, and it was, that they went through a lot of misogyny. And a lot of women did back then. But you know what? Instead of being victims to it, they fought. They fought really hard to find their place in the world. And for them, and they did. And they exposed this serial killer, and they were they were up there with the big guns now, because they've done that. They worked hard and fought for that, and because of that, so they broke the murders in 1962, and then in 1998, I think Loretta was appointed as the editorial page editor for the Boston Globe, and she was the second woman only to ever serve in that role. So she busted her behind to get that, to work her way up, which, you know, a lot of people do. And women, okay, yes, women have had to do it a little bit more, and I do understand that, and there's still work to be done. But you've got a woman who hasn't worked apart from one series, Suits, where she played the fluff piece, basically, the sex element to it, because that's really all we ever really saw. She's been a Deal or No Deal girl, where, again, very sexualized, and they know the role when they're going in, and a lot of the times it can catapult them into something else, which is why they do it. And they get paid money to do it, obviously. And then she did a stint as being sexy, flipping a burger, and then it was a BJ in 90210. Didn't have a problem with any of that. But the biggest thing is that she's grifted her way up the ladder, getting to where she is because she slept and married with men. She hasn't worked her way up the ladder. She hasn't grafted. How those women could sit on that panel with a woman whose only reason for being where she is now is because she married a member of the royal family, not because she worked hard to get there. Oh, I'm sorry. How? Just how does this happen? Am I the only one seeing this, or do you guys see this as well? Because to me, this was just utter hypocrisy. Utter hypocrisy. So anyway, while I calm down before we go on to the next bit, I'm going to show you the video clips that I've done where I show you the deception. So I'm going to put this up here now for you so you can see what I picked up on. Because as you know, I like to show you these things so you can see all of these things playing out in real time. And so you can understand how people behave and why they do what they do. And it's very obvious with her. She doesn't do very well at hiding things, actually. So yeah, so I'm going to put these up here now, and then I'm going to talk about the photograph with Princess Catherine. So here we are.
Yes, social media is a environment that I think has a lot of that, it's really interesting as I can reflect on it. I keep my distance from it right now just for my own well-being, but the bulk of the bullying and abuse that I was experiencing in social media and online was when I was pregnant with Archie and with Lily and with a newborn with each of them. And you just think about that, and to really wrap your head around why people would be so hateful. It's not catty, it's cruel. Why you would do that, and certainly when you're pregnant or you have a newborn, we all, as moms, it's such a tender and sacred time. And I think, you could either succumb to it or nearly succumb to how painful that is. And maybe in some regards, because I was pregnant, that mammalian instinct just kicked in. Do everything you can to protect your child and, as a result, protect yourself too. But, I think as we look at what's happening in social media, there is so much.
When talking about a traumatic event, you would not be smiling. So she's very pleased to be there. This is, like I've said here, it's a misalignment. Her body actions are not weighing up with what she's talking about. When you're looking down like what she does, she is not convinced in what she's talking about. Then she looks up, as you can see here. So she's scanning, trying to think of the right things to say. Doesn't show me that she's doing memory recall here because it's straight ahead. She then decides to talk about something. She looks down again, so she's not convinced again in what she's talking about. She then scans the audience, and she does this a lot. It's one of her tells when I believe when she's not being completely honest, she then scans the audience to see if she's being believed. And she does this, excuse me, she does this a lot. She does a lot of rapid blinking, which is one of her tells. But she's talking about something here, and then she looks down again. So again, whatever she's talking about, she's not convinced. But then she smiles. And bearing in mind that she's talking about being bullied whilst allegedly pregnant, why would you be smiling? If this was true, this would be an incredibly traumatic event. But she's smiling. But she's being very dramatic. It's like she's talking about things and then she's looking at the audience as if to go, this is so traumatic for me and I want to hit that home to you. It's like she's very, very dramatic in the way she talks about things. And it's, again, all about her. But again, she's talking about bullying and she's smiling. But she's searching the audience. Now this is where she looks to Brooke. Because she really wants to connect with people. She wants people to believe her. So she'll be searching to see if what she's talking about is being believed. Literally watching this, I haven't really seen any what I would class as memory recall. Nothing. She's nodding her head here. She really wants to emphasize that what she's telling the audience
is true. But again, like I say, look at her face. This is not a woman who you'd think would be talking about bullying and the trauma that she supposedly felt. Like, she's shaking her head no there. So I'm going to go back and see what that was, and I'll put it in the description box, what she was shaking her head no to. She just loves the sound of her own voice, I think. She's just so happy to be up there talking. She doesn't care about anything else, in my opinion. So, yeah.
Okay, I want to say the only reason I'm talking about this is not because I'm not going to talk about Catherine being ill, because again, like I've said, I feel that she deserves to have that space and time. I'm not going to jump into any of what the conspiracy theories are. We will find out in due time whatever is going on for her. I truly hope it's nothing serious, but at the end of the day, this is private for her and she has a right to have that respected. So what I am going to talk about is the Mother's Day photograph that come up. Now, I'm fuming about this, and not because they put the photograph up. I'm fuming at the backlash that was caused by this photograph, and I'm actually a little bit confused, if I'm honest, at the level of backlash, because not only I could understand it on social media because the trolls are out and they that's what they do, but what I am not understanding, and I have one theory, but I'm not understanding why the media have really turned against them for this. And again, the hypocrisy. So I'm sure most of you know that this beautiful picture was put out of Catherine sitting there with her 3 children. Now, we know it's a recent picture purely and simply because the children do look a lot older. Now, I'm going to put the picture up here for those of you who haven't seen it, even though I'm pretty sure most of you have. Now, I'm going to talk about the editing. Now, when I looked at the photograph, when I very first glanced at it, I didn't see anything because I wasn't looking for anything. Obviously, then I started to see that people were starting to scrutinise the picture. And again, even then, I was like, oh, so what? So what? The photograph's been edited. And to be fair, I still kind of feel that way. But then I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to be fair because, as you know, I scrutinise the pictures of those two. So I thought, well, okay, let's be fair. So I did look at the photograph. And yes, the photograph has been edited. Now, I know that since then, Catherine has come out with an apology, and I feel very sad that she feels that she's been pushed into a corner to do that. And I don't know if I feel that that was a mistake. I generally don't know. I can understand why she might have felt the need to do that, but I don't feel that she's got anything to apologise for. So here's where I don't understand. So I've looked at this photograph and I can see, yes, there's some slight editing. Now, I don't believe in all of the things that are being pointed out. Like, for example, the pattern on, like they're picking up on the fact that one of Charlotte's boots looks like it's got a heel. Well, if you look really closely, it's not. It's a tassel. So they've picked up on things that I don't believe are even necessary. The pattern on Louis' jumper, I can't even see that one. I don't really understand what that's about. To me, that just could be where he's moved and it's just slightly changed. The fact that he's doing that with his fingers, well, I can, all right, not to the extent that he does, but I can do that. And when I was younger, you know, I probably could, you know, and if I do that enough, I probably could go over. Because and kids are a little bit more ambidextrous. They can do things. So I don't think that's anything weird at all. Again, the fact that there's some blurring. Well, if you've got an amateur photographer just taking a picture, whether it be on a cell phone or whatever it is, or even on a camera, if the kids are fidgeting and moving, you might get a bit of blurring. If it's done on iPhone, you get iPhone Live, and sometimes if you're screen grabbing a bit of that, it also can create blurring. The editing, at the back of where you see the windows, that again, okay, so they might have slightly edited the windows and they've moved the frame a little bit, and so it's, you know, where you're, I don't know, creating something and it's created that to change. Okay, fair enough. People have talked about the leaves. Well, to be fair, and I will take a picture of my garden. I've got greenery in my garden. My grass is lush green right now. So that doesn't mean anything. The biggest one I feel that people were talking about was that she wasn't wearing her wedding ring. Now, you can see how she's dressed, and perhaps they're all playing in the garden. And if you're playing in the garden with your children, you're not going to be wearing your very expensive wedding ring. So the fact that she took her wedding ring off has now created such a conspiracy theory of the two of them not being together is crazy. But the craziness and circus around this picture, I just found diabolical. And the biggest reason is because, as we know, when Harry and Meghan have come out with pictures of their children, you can clearly see they're edited. Clearly. When I've run those pictures, when they posted the picture of fake Lily, when they did the one where it was black and white from Miss Anne Harriman, you could clearly see, even though it's the same child, you could clearly see that that child was at least 6 months younger in that picture because the hair was shorter, she looked smaller. But did the media pick up on that? Did they withdraw those pictures because you could clearly see they were edited? I proved that the picture of her sitting on the grass that was meant to be Frogmore was edited. Why were they not taken down? And all of the pictures that the celebrities put out that are edited, that are fake, why are they not taken down? Why was this picture specifically removed and made such a fuss of? And the only thing I can think of is that because the Cambridges because the Wales, Prince and Princess of Wales, put this out on their personal account and they have the copyright, that they cannot make money from this picture. And I believe what I've heard is that it got something, it got millions of views when it first was put up on their personal account. So I don't know. Are the media outlets furious that the first, in a sense, proper picture we see of Princess Catherine is one that they've put out and they can't make any money of? And they're annoyed because someone has slightly edited that photograph. To make such a song and dance about it, I just think is disgusting. The fact that the royal family just are... I could understand if this is affecting their mental health now, because in all fairness, I feel affected by a lot of the things that I see. So I can only imagine, with everything that they've gone through in the last 4 years, that there comes a point when you think, I can't do this anymore. And rather than have that scrutinised, they've asked for the public to respect what is going on. And as per usual, the people who feel that they own them, which, don't get me wrong, I understand that it's a job, but at the same time, you're still allowed to take time off from that job. If you had a massive operation, say, and you needed months off work, you wouldn't be expecting your boss to be calling you 24/7, going, right, when you're coming back, when you're coming back, when you're coming back, which is, in a sense, what these people are doing. She's asked to have time off from her duties. They've given a time frame of when she's coming back, which is Easter, which is only a couple of weeks away. And still, we're getting, when you're coming back, when you come back, where's Catherine? Where's Catherine? For goodness sake, leave the poor woman alone. Because what you're probably going to do is create more stress where she's going to feel that she can't come back, or she doesn't want to come back. And now you have this, where they've put out an edited photograph. Oh, well, hold the front page. They've put out a photograph that's edited. Oh, my goodness. I could understand it if, say, Catherine had been edited. And now we're getting the fact that her face has been it's just unbelievable. The fact that they're doing all of that. Catherine is the one that everyone's complaining about being missing. But it's the children and the backdrop that's been edited, apparently, to everybody else. So surely, if it was the fact that they're trying to make believe that Catherine's in that photograph, you're telling me that the three children would be sitting there laughing and joking, looking really happy if that wasn't their mother sitting there. Look, I understand conspiracy theories, and I understand why they happen. That we've seen enough, and there's been probably some even with those two. But as you know, I will always try to bring the truth here as much as I possibly can, and I try and explain my thought process. Even in the last video where I sat and explained everything, there were people that believed me, which is great and wonderful, but like I've always said, please go and do your own research too. But there were still people that believed that she was pregnant. I was still getting those comments, and it's not for me to go, that's not true. I can only give what I believe. So with Catherine's photograph, yes, so she edited the photograph. I could understand it if she'd just gone AWOL and they had no statement, no nothing, all of a sudden we just don't see her. I could understand it. But we have been told. And you know what? Even if what we've been told isn't fundamentally the truth, because maybe the truth is something that's far more serious and she needs to be protected, and so they've just given a version, then so what? It is none of our business. We don't own this family. They are working for the country, yes, but they're allowed to take time off. She's allowed to put a photograph up of her beautiful family, and it's been slightly edited, big deal, because everybody, I'm not being funny, look at the amount of airbrushing and filters that are put on celebrities nowadays. And like I say, the colouring that goes into Harry's hair, because he's practically bald on top. And yet whenever we see photographs go up, and I'm going to put this one up, a classic example, he's got a full head of orange hair. Were they taken down? No, of course they weren't. So what is going on? Are those two behind this? Because maybe does Harry know some of the truth maybe? I don't know. Or he's guessing, and this photograph has come out, and he knows that there's a bit of a lie perhaps going on. And so he's gone, him and Meghan have contacted somebody and said that photograph's not real. I just find it very odd that with everything that's going on, with Harry and Meghan really trying to come out as like revamping their image and trying to come out and step on the coattails of the royal family, that this has created such a huge backlash. So I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted with the mainstream media. And then we have obviously them going and doing this. I can't even, with the happy birthday in Uvalde, Texas. I can't, again, all about her. Harry in the background looking as he does, the spare part. And then there she is. Not even the main people on show. It's all her holding a cake and present. Honestly. And again, the media are all like, yay. Oh, Meghan, she's so lovely. Not, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Why would you think that that's okay? And the fact, like I say, that they're acting like royals in a country that got rid of royalty. You don't see other celebrities going around doing that. If they wanted to do that, then they should have done it privately. It doesn't need to be, because I can understand it if they were wanting to showcase the family. If they wanted to, they were trying to, like when the royal family do things, they're showcasing like a charity or something along those lines, and they're putting their name to it. I can understand that, but it was all about them. Why are they not being called out? Who is running the show over there? That's what I want to know. Who is running the show over there that is allowing these two to do what they're doing? And I've said before, Americans need to wake up. And I know I'm talking about you guys, because you guys are awake and I get that. But other people need to wake up and see what they're doing. They're trying to censor the negative press around them. They don't care about children. They don't care about protecting children. They care about themselves and the people that are running with them or backing them. That's what's going on. And the media are just as complicit. Just as complicit. And I'm disgusted, and I'm actually quite disappointed in Piers Morgan, and I'm just gonna add that in there as well. It's like he's gone on a rant about being disappointed in Princess Catherine. You know, I don't always agree with Piers, and I don't agree with him on this. It's like, leave the woman alone. You know more than anyone probably that there is something that's going on, and she needs to just have that time out. And yet you're there stoking the fire. Why? Because you know that you've said stuff about Harry and Meghan, so it's almost like you've got to appear to be fair. But ranting and raving about how despicable it is and how, you know, oh, if it's come out that they've lied, I'm going to be very, very disappointed. Oh, no, well, no one cares. No one cares if you're disappointed, Piers Morgan, to be fair. Like I say, I normally support you, but in this, no. Leave. And the British media, where's your loyalty to our royal family? Where is it? Where's it gone? I'm fed up with all of, I'm fed up with the media. I'm fed up with it. I'm fed up with the fact that nobody calls them out on it, and yet the royal family, who very rarely put a foot wrong, do something, and oh my God, with everything else that's going on in the world today, oh my goodness, this is front page news that Princess Catherine edited a photograph. Are you kidding me? Of everything that's going on in the planet, that becomes front page news. That becomes the worst thing that you could possibly do. I hope when Princess Catherine comes out after Easter, I hope they give her an absolute apology for what they've done, what they've subjected her to. And I wish that she would watch something like my video. She wouldn't. I understand why, but I would love her to, because what I would love to say to her is just know that there are so many of us that love and support you. You take as much time as you need to feel better. You take as much time as you need. Do not bow down to these ridiculous, pathetic people who feel the need to bully you into doing something. And anyone should never feel that way. If you need to take time out of your life or whatever it is that you're doing for your own mental well-being, it is not down to anyone, friends, family, to badger you into coming back out again. Self-care is incredibly important, no matter who you are or how much money you have. I'm going to leave that there. So I've had my rant. I'm sure it won't be the last one I have, but I've had it. So thank you for listening. And if you support this video and you like what I do here, then please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, then think about doing so, because it does help the algorithm. If you would like to treat me to a cuppa, or maybe something stronger because you feel like I need to calm down, then the link is in the description box below, or it's just above the subscribe button. It's a little yellow icon with a cup on it. You can click on that and it takes you straight through. If you would like to buy my bubble merchandise, you can. Again, the link is in the description box below. You can also buy, you can also send me something. I have a PO box. You can write to me. You can follow my other channels where I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Rumble. All the links that I have, if there's any channels that I support, the links will be below. My son's channel link will be below, and he does apologise for not doing any videos of late. He is working, and so he's just not finding the time to do them, but he will at some point do them. And I hope you all, whoever in the UK, I hope you had a lovely Mother's Day. And like I say, for anyone who was struggling on that day, you know, I hope that you did have someone to reach out to, or at least talk to, or whether it's, you know, you're a mum to fur babies too. I did have a very nice Mother's Day. I had my mum down, which was lovely, and I spoilt her. And also I got some lovely gifts from my kids too. So I really do appreciate all of your support and the lovely Mother's Day messages that you also sent me. It's like I'm bubble mama on here, and I do really appreciate that, and it means so much to me. You are why I do this. If I didn't have your support, I wouldn't be able to do this. I'm always grateful to you, and I hope that you all know that. So I will see you in the next video, and hopefully my nerves will calm down by then, and I'll be a lot calmer. But in the meantime, have a great rest of the week, whatever you're doing, and I will see you on Friday. So as always, I love you, I appreciate you, but most of all, I respect you. Take care. Bye bye.